What's going on, guys? It's Brandon back here today, and today I'm going to be doing my first ever prediction video since we are 2 weeks out from preseason. I'm going to be doing the Atlantic Division because I think it is the easiest division to do, and I can come up off the teams off the top of my head a lot easier than I can the other three divisions. So, the Atlantic Division is one of the weaker divisions in the league compared to of the three. I would say it's the third in strength, and there's pretty distinguishable teams that I just think that people are overlooking. I've seen predictions on TikTok, on YouTube, on any social media platform, and I have seen just some predictions. I'm thinking, no, no, stop, like that kind of thing. And but the one consensus that I think everyone can come to agree on is that number 8 will without a question be, get this magnet off, the Buffalo Sabres. These aren't in order, by the way. Just to let you know that. Don't click off the video now. The Buffalo Sabres are definitely going to be, without question, last in the Atlantic Division. They have traded all of their players. Eichel still, trade talk still looming. They've been picked back up recently. Who knows what's going to happen to him if he's gone? There definitely is full-on rebuild. They got rid of Ristolainen. They got rid of Reinhart. And this team is just tanking to get several number one draft picks in a row. They got Owen Power. They've got a few other first round picks. And the question, I think, is, will Dahlin be grouped in that group that's going to go? I don't think he will. I think he'll be sticking around for the new core. Him and Owen Power on the blue line could be deadly in the future. They got Casey Middlestat coming up. They got that one power forward, Dylan Cousins. He'll be coming up in the rankings. This hopefully will be a new core for Buffalo, and hopefully will lead them back to the playoffs for the first time since 2010-11. Before my brother was born was the last time that the Buffalo Sabres were in the playoffs. Which is hard to believe, because I remember the only playoff game I ever watched of them when I was younger was Game 5 of the Boston-Buffalo series that Boston won in 6. I know Buffalo won that game, but Boston took care of them in the next. And, yeah. Next up, I think this division, it looks hard when you first think about it, but then you think about the teams that are not quite there yet and are still in their, like, last year, if not the year where they're trying to come out of a rebuild. And there are some certain playoff teams on here, but I think next has got to be the 7th seeded in the Atlantic Division. If I can get it off the board. The Ottawa Senators. Great youth there. Once they get Brady Tkachuk signed, all problems will be done. Dorian has done a great job in Ottawa, I think. They got Batherson, Shabbatz, they got on defense. They got Paul, they have Connor Brown, and there are some other pieces that I think can really suit well. They got rid of Dadonov. They got Nick Holden from Vegas, and this team looks pretty good. I think. At least I think it was Holden. I'm pretty sure it was Holden. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I get confused between Hague and Holden sometimes, and yeah, this thing. I think Ottawa's going to be a great team and definitely a playoff team in the next 2-3 years. But this year, I'm just not sure they're quite there. They need some of the juggernauts in the division to calm down and go away. Those I'll be getting to later on. Anyway, in 6th, you have someone almost in the exact same place as Ottawa, but I feel like has a little bit more potential because trust in Stevie Y. I am, of course, talking about the Detroit Red Wings. A team that honestly has made some great moves during the offseason. They acquired Nedeljkovic from Carolina in what the heck is going on trade. They lost Jonathan Bernier, but Nedeljkovic should slide right in perfectly. He's younger, and he's looked, I think, pretty good. And they got Nick Leddy, so they got some experience on the blue line. Dylan Larkin is going to be hopefully doing what he does. And they got other pieces all throughout the lineup that can chip in. They're young pieces. Maybe Lucas Raymond will play this year. We don't know. But we'll see after preseason how this team is looking. And at their young guys and how they're blossoming. And then this is where it gets tricky. Because in the 5th seed, this is probably what I've seen the worst take on, even though I think it's without question who it is. number 5 for me, clearly the Montreal Canadiens, will not be making the playoffs this year. And spoiler alert. And this team, they lose some. They lost their captain Shea Weber, and that's already a devastating loss. Carey Price, if he's ready for the season, should be a bounce back, but they lose Corey Perry on the blue line, not on the blue. Forgive me, on the forward group. I meant to say. What's his name? I was thinking of Shea Weber, and I thought of Corey Perry, and let's not talk about that. Corey Perry goes to their rival in the final in Tampa. They acquire Mike Hoffman, who should be a great addition to the power play, and they acquire David Savard, who's trying to replace Weber, but I doubt he will be able to replace Weber, as Weber was just such a character guy in the locker room. He's a leader. Savard may prove to be that, but I just don't think he'll have what Weber did. And now we get into a place where this might be a playoff team. I'll talk about this at the end of the video. I'll be marking division winner, playoff spots, if there's any conference winners in these videos. And number 4th, I have the Toronto Maple Leafs. They lose Zach Hyman. They lose Frederik Andersen, who they didn't really need. They acquire Peter Mrazek as either the starter or the backup, depending on how Campbell does. And I'm really interested to see where Toronto's going to go after last year. I still can't believe Toronto didn't win that series. I did say in previous videos I had Montreal in 6 in my bracket, but after they went up 3-1, I still can't believe, just looking back on it. I still sorry to Steve Dangle. I still watch that Game 7 words video that he put out from the LFRs. If I'm ever down, I can just watch that and it cracks me up. He calls people who watch from other fan bases sickos, but he gets it. Yeah, I will gladly be called that, as it is pure entertainment to see Leaf fans drowned in the depths of despair. But I feel like they still can make the playoffs, but it's going to be a question whether they can or not, as them in the 3rd seed I feel like will be really close in the standings, but only one of them will edge out. As in 3rd place I have Boston. They lose Krejci to the Czech League. They get to sign Taylor Hall to a 4-year deal. They are little, I would say, lacking in the depth in the blue line right now. They have McAvoy, they have Grzelcyk, they have other pieces. They lose Luzon to Seattle, so there's a depth defenseman gone. If DeBrusk can bounce back, this team could be even better. But compared to the other 2 teams in the division, it's just Boston does not have, I don't think, what it takes to get to the division, top 2 spots in the division. Them and Toronto, I think, will be duking it out, but since they are 3rd place, I will definitely think they make the playoffs. And as well as just make the playoffs, but not get the division win, in the Battle of Florida, who will lose the Battle of Florida during the regular season, I think, will be the Tampa Bay Lightning with their 2nd seed in the Atlantic. And I know I've seen a lot of people take Tampa first, and I'm thinking, this is what happens when you win back-to-back Stanley Cups. Your expectations have been higher. But people are not realizing, I don't think, that they lost Yanni Gourde to Seattle, Blake Coleman to Calgary, Tyler Johnson to the Blackhawks, Barclay Goodrow to the Rangers, their backup, I have trouble pronouncing his name. It's McKinley, I think. It's like McHenry. I cannot pronounce his name. Or think of it off the top of my head, but I know it's something in that. McElhinney. That's what it is, McElhinney. And yeah, I just don't think that Tampa is going to have what it takes to win the division this time around. And they didn't win it last year. They got beaten by Florida out in the regular season, and as soon as that series against Florida, I knew it was trouble for Florida because Tampa had the experience and I think just had the better depth along the way, and that's why I knew Florida was losing that series. But if Florida can take the 1st seed, and in a minute here I'll talk about where I think these teams will add up. If Florida takes the 1st seed, they'll play the 2nd wild card or 1st wild card. But in my case, as I put these down, I have Florida. Those are my playoff spots. Florida wins the Eastern Conference, and not only that, the President's Trophy along with it. I think this Florida team is the best on paper of any team in the league right now. The only question I have is in their goaltending, and if Knight and if Bobrovsky can bounce back to his contract level, this team is unstoppable. I'm just going to say that right now. They're getting Ekblad back. They acquired Reinhart. They've locked Bennett up. There have been fantastic moves here in Florida, and this is this team's chance to go for it. And before Barkov needs to be re-signed next year. And this team is, I think, the most underrated team in the league by far. Forgive me if I'm, in your eyes, overrating them, but the Florida Panthers should win the Stanley Cup this year. I'm just going to say it out right now. And how they get there is going to be the question. And if they do get there in real time, if Florida struggles right out of the gate, I'm going to have some questions about this team having enough puck to go around, as there are a lot of great players on this team. You got Barkov, Huberdeau, Reinhart, Bennett, Ekblad. You got Uyghur, who's a young defenseman. You have Montour, who's been locked up. You have several other pieces on this team. And if Knight and Bobrovsky, they lose Drieger to Seattle, but Bobrovsky and Knight, if they can perform as well as Knight did in the playoffs and Bobrovsky did in Columbus as his two-time Vezina winning, I think this team is extremely deadly and should, without question, run away with the Eastern Conference. With Tampa kind of behind, but not really close, as those pieces that Tampa loses in Coleman, Goudreau, Gord, and Johnson, those are important pieces. Those are core depth pieces. And I think people are underestimating how much of an effect that's going to have on Tampa. Yes, they still have their core, Stamkos, Kucherov, Hedman, Vasilevsky, but I still think that it's just Tampa will be a good team, but they're just not going to have the same presence that they've had in previous years. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys in today's video. Tell me what you think down below. What are your predictions for the Atlantic Division? And I'll have more prediction videos coming out soon. Next, I'll probably do the Pacific, since that'll probably be the next easiest one to do. That doesn't mean it will be easy. That doesn't mean this was easy to think of. There were several that I was back and forth on, like Boston, Toronto, Detroit, and Ottawa. But the only ones I could pretty much clear up were Florida, Montreal, Buffalo. I think those three are the standout teams in this division that you know where they're going to finish, because they're either just not good enough, the worst, or the best. But other than that, that's all I have for you guys today. Again, leave your thoughts down below, and have a good day. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.